And today, I'm living proof that America is the land of opportunity and not a land of oppression. Amen, 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 amen. I'm announcing today that I'm running for president of the United States of America.
I like me some Tim Scott, I have to admit. He is an exemplar. Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. He goes against the odds. It's good to know that he's running for president, to be elected as president in 2024. Now, I'm not necessarily sure if that's going to work, but at least he's giving it a try. So this is Joy Behar. Joy Behar on The View said this about Governor Tim Scott. And this is, remember, this is a white lady trying to lecture a black man on how to behave because he is black.
He's like Clarence Thomas, black Republican who believes in pulling yourself by your bootstraps, rather than, to me, understanding the systemic racism that African Americans face in this country and other minorities. He doesn't get it, neither does Clarence. Right. And that's why they're Republicans.
That is so... that is beyond disrespectful. Governor Tim Scott is gonna go to The Views to give her... She knew she was wrong for saying that. But he went to The View. He went to The View. And it so happens to be that Joy Behar was off on that day. Yeah, she was off, all right. Well, listen to what he said. This is a little bit after the interview. I'm going to let you listen to the interview. It's a 3-minute interview. And I think that was really well done.
Had a constructive conversation with the ladies on The View. Even the producers cannot stop me from talking. I love our country. Proud to be American. It's time to go on offense. Had a constructive...
Love that. No, I have to give Whoopi Goldberg some credit for this one.
No, but do you think Disney's radical left?
Well, I think Disney and Ron have been in a combat zone for a number of months over what I thought was the right issue as it relates to our young kids and what they're being indoctrinated with. I thought he started off on the right foot on that issue. It is 100%.
No, not here. I'm sorry, sir. Do not boo. This is The View. We accept we don't have to believe everything people say, but you cannot boo people here, please. You cannot do it.
I give her credit for that. I mean, very rarely will I do this when it comes to Whoopi. But I give her a horn. She deserves that. Well, let's go to Tim Scott, because Tim Scott, he gave them a piece of his mind, because this is where the conversation got really exciting. But I want you to notice what happens here as a result.
You know, I sat and I listened to everything you said.
Yes.
And I wonder why these conversations don't seem to be held with Republicans. All of the exceptional stuff you're talking about. And one of the reasons we continue to have new exceptionalism is because every time folks make 40 steps forward, they get dragged 40 steps back. So how do we, as a nation, because as a nation, we seemingly get on the right track and then we go backwards. So you as a black man, and as one of the, are there two black?
Yeah.
Senators? Yeah.
Raphael Warnock.
Raphael, that's
3 now.
Three. We still count Cory Booker, okay? Cory and Warnock on one side and me on the other side.
That's 3.
Yes.
But you yourself have talked about when the police stopped you.
Absolutely.
So how can you get your party to stop trying to stop the progression that people are making?
Yeah, so
because that's what I complained about when I spoke about.
Yeah.
I want you to come out and say, listen, the Republicans have these issues. So
yeah, I think humans have these issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, the issue of discrimination that I have faced, I assume you face as well, is an issue of the heart. It's not Republicans or Democrats, frankly, both.
Oh, man, I love that. Well said. Keep going, boy. That was amazing. You men have these issues. Stop making it a skin color or a political thing. because there's good people on both sides. And at the same time, to neglect the human condition in all of this discussion is the worst failure altogether. But I'm glad he's acknowledging that. Well done.
Both sides of the aisle can do a better job on the issue of race. And frankly, my side of the aisle, I think, is doing a fabulous job of making progress. The question is, how do we measure that progress?
How is that?
Well, let me just give you a couple examples. So when you think about, this is good news, yeah. So.
Yeah.
I thought
you turn around to talk to her. Go ahead, boy.
One question, but I'll give you the answer to it anyway. So here's how it works.
That was me talking to you, so I'd love that.
I'm gonna lay.
Shall I come next to her?
Come on over here. Come on over here. Let's have a conversation.
Come on, ladies.
Sit, sir. Sit.
Yes. So.
Get him.
Let me give you a couple short answers, as I was just talking with Anna about the fact that...
Yeah, your back looks pretty damn good from here.
Anyways, so the truth of the matter is that when you look at progress in the Senate, especially from the Republican side, African-American chiefs of staff on the Republican side, the only African-American female chief of staff was mine. The current only Hispanic chief of staff, who happens to be female, is mine. When you look at the fact that when I helped to rewrite the tax code in 2017, I focused on my growing up experience, which was a single mother. I cut her taxes. Single mothers like mine, average income around $40,000 by 73%.
But you only one black senator out of 50.
We're talking about progress.
Right.
So there's only two on the other side. There's only two on the other side.
Yeah.
So here,
go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm going to stand up now.
Sit.
So the truth is that when you measure success and progress in this nation, one of the things you have to do is look at the statistical realities. We brought African-American unemployment, when we cut the taxes, down to the lowest level in the history of this country. For the first time, under 6%, it hit 5.4%.
Well, you also gave billionaires a huge tax cut, and that didn't trickle down to the working people.
Well, let's take a look at that.
If you want to talk about statistical realities, the statistical reality.
I mean, the interruption here is really bad, even though he is appealing emotionally and intellectually with a lot of facts, but they keep on distracting him. But I love the way he's handling this. You know, he is just putting out his view, and he's not backing down, and he's also laying out the facts, which I don't necessarily think it matters for some of these ladies anyway, because facts really they don't care about that anyway. But let's keep going.
Reality that we can't even argue with is that African Americans are what, 14, 15% of this country?
13%.
And they're 3% of the U.S. Senate. That is a statistical reality.
That doesn't mean, that has a lot to do with our culture, families, decisions that black people are making. It doesn't have anything to do with the country. Like, this doesn't say, well, because we are 13% of this country, we should have this. So therefore, let's push equity. Let's push equity because African Americans should be owning these positions. Yeah, maybe, but maybe we are not qualified. Maybe we didn't put in the work. Maybe more African Americans are playing basketball and football than they are focusing on getting into politics and these things. So this is not to say we are defranchised and disenfranchised. Is that the word? Okay. Anyway, or somebody's out to get me because I'm black. I don't believe that. I don't teach that to our family, to our children. We don't teach them that at all. We tell them, you do put in your work, you go for your dream, and you set yourself, and you be a good example to others.
Only one statistic that in actuality has been improving significantly in the last decade. Let's take a look at the number of African Americans that have served in the Senate in the last 10 years. Mo Cowan from Massachusetts. You have Cory Booker. You have myself. You have Kamala Harris. You have Warnock. So the fact of the matter is that in less than the last decade, we've had about half of all the African Americans who've ever served in the Senate in the last decade, which means that this nation is making measurable progress in real time. And if we focus on that and continue to make progress, we will fulfill the notion that this is the nation that can become more perfect. And what I am concerned about
fixing the structures and the systemic racism that is embedded in
the fact of the matter is that we don't have to agree.
Well, we're going to come back to that because systemic racism. All right, let's take a listen.
You have indicated that you don't believe in systemic racism. What is your definition of systemic racism?
Let me answer the question that you've answered.
Or does it even exist in your mind?
Let me answer the question this way. One of the things I think about, and one of the reasons why I'm on the show, is because of the comments that were made, frankly, on this show, that the only way for a young African-American kid to be successful in this country is to be the exception and not the rule. That is a dangerous, offensive, disgusting message to send to our young people today, that the only way to succeed is by being the exception. I will tell you that if my life is the exception, I can't imagine.
But it is.
But it's not, actually. It's
been 114 years.
Yeah, so the fact of the matter is we've had an African-American president, African-American vice president. We've had 2 African-Americans to be secretaries of the state. In my home city, the police chief is an African-American who's now running for mayor. The head of the highway patrol for South Carolina is an African-American.
Still
in
exceptions.
In 1975, there was about 15% employment in the African-American community. For the first time in the history of the country, it's under 5%.
40% homelessness.
And 50%
of African-Americans
50% of the folks in our community
get 13% of the population.
You had the chance to ask the question. I know that I've watched you on the show that you like people to be deferential and respectful, so I'm going to do the same thing.
True.
So here's what
I like that. Boy, she is ridiculous. Like, for her, everything that is wrong with African American has to be the system. There is no accountability. There is no family structure. There is no culture. There is no bad decisions. There is no fatherlessness among youth. There is none of that. There is no violence, black on black violence in our communities that are destroying our cities. None of that. The race hustlers have nothing to do with any of this. It is the systematic racism. It is white supremacists. It is white people's fault. And that's not okay, because we can't grow when you refuse to acknowledge the problems that is in communities, predominantly where African Americans live. Like, we have to be able to see our issues so that we can address them. But according to Sunny Host, everything that's wrong with black people is the system, is white people's fault. And that's a problem, because she's racist.
I'm going to suggest the fact of the matter is that progress in America is palpable. It can be measured in generations.
Yes.
I look back at the fact that my grandfather, born in 1921 in Sally, South Carolina, when he was on a sidewalk, a white person was coming, he had to step off and not make eye contact. That man believed then, with some doubt now, in the goodness of America, because he believed that having faith in God, faith in himself, and faith in what the future could hold for his kids would unleash opportunities in ways that you cannot imagine. Yeah. Every kid today can look, just change the stations and see how much progress has been made in this country. ABC, NBC, CBS, ESPN, CNN, Fox News all have African-American and Hispanic hosts. So what I'm suggesting is that the yesterday's exception is today's rule. And for us to suggest...
America has met its promise.
No, of course, the concept of America is that we are going to become a more perfect union. But in fact, the challenges that we faced 50 years ago and 60 years ago should not be the same challenges that we face today. And here's the way that you measure that. When my mother was born, about 10% of African Americans got a high school degree, diploma. Today, it's over 90%. When you look at the income, success that we've had...
That's an HBCU stat.
Well, listen, HBCU stat is a good one, because one of the reasons why I took the funding for HBCUs to the highest level in the history of the country, and then I helped make it permanent, is because I believe that education is the closest thing to magic in America. So I'm about making sure that our kids have as many opportunities to succeed as possible. It's one of the reasons why...
I need an opportunity to succeed. Wait, because I have to go to... They're begging.
We have more time.
Okay. You gotta shut the man down. He had us all hooked. He had me hooked because his message is true. But we know you got to shut him down.
You have more
I'm just
coming back.
getting started. I believe all people can see the success that I've had.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
I love me some Tim Scott. Oh, man, he cooked them wide open. I think... And I think oftentimes we sit on the sideline and we criticize the View, but at least we should give them respect that they are not afraid of bringing someone to the channel and allow them to speak. And I think at least we should give them respect for that. Even though there were some challenging things going on, there was a lot of distraction, but at least they were decent enough to allow him to speak his view, give him at least 2 good minutes undistracted. I mean, he had them, he was obliterating them, steamrolled, stampede, because what he was saying was true. You know, in this country, friends, I mean, black people, we got to stop. Like, your success is your own. Really, it is, man. I look at myself, I'm like, man, everything that I am and everything that I want to be, with my faith in God and hard work, nothing is impossible in this country. And I can say this over and over again because I was raised in Haiti, man. We do not have nearly as close of the opportunities that Black Americans have in this country. That's why immigrants like myself, I know some blacks will comment and say, well, you were raised in Haiti, you don't have the right to speak. As a matter of fact, we had a much harder life than many blacks in this country, just in case you don't know. So Haitians that are coming from in these different parts of the world and moving to the United States, they can teach you something. So that the nonsense that you can't talk about it because you weren't born in this country, I say you're ridiculous. I got family and children born in this country, pay the same taxes that you do, been here since I was a young boy. You're talking silly. But here's the thing. But I realized the same thing that plagued the average Black American plagued me, because coming here as a young kid at the age of 13, I saw the influence, but I had to make better decisions. You know, I chose to live differently. I chose Jesus. I chose a different life. I chose to go to school. I chose to do something with myself. I chose to listen to God's voice. And of course, it's a struggle, but I've seen God doing great things. Recently, I had my son at a piano recital. I think I might be able to get the video for you. And he was just doing his thing, man. Here he is. He is the only Black kid. Yeah, there he is. He was practicing here. He's the only Black kid. I mean, we just work with him. He is such an amazing kid. We just work with him. We make him read, study. He put in so much hard work. He's 5 years old. He can read amazingly. His math skills is great. He's doing word search and very intelligent boy. But here is the only Black kid playing the piano. Amazing piano player. All right. I mean, you get the point. You know what we never teach him, though? Is to feel sorry for being Black, or like, we don't even talk about skin color. We say, you work, you work, you work. You practice, you practice, you practice. You show up, you show up, you show up on time, and you put in your work. You do your lessons every single day. There are Caucasian families, Hispanic families, there are Asian families. Nobody cares. We're here for one purpose, and one purpose only is to see them succeed in this country. That's it. We don't think about skin color. His teacher is Caucasian. That means nothing. What that means is she knows what she's doing. She's teaching him well, and therefore here we stand. And that's what we teach our family. That's how we look at America. We look at a country that great things can happen. And Tim Scott is settingly helping these ladies on The Views to have some common sense and realize how racist they've been and how they need to change their perspective. You know, the thing is, we can't keep running forward while we're looking back. And I think some of these people, they love looking back. And that's why we can't get anywhere. Sonny Host and many of the race hustlers and the white liberals that are telling Black people, you can't do it because America is racist. You are holding people back. You are holding. What's the point of me putting forth the effort if I'm not going to succeed because there's a system in place that's going to bar me from going forward? That is a discouraging message. That is a message rooted in racism. That is a message that makes Black people don't want to go forward. But we don't all believe that. It says, brethren, this is the Apostle Paul. I count not myself yet have been laid hold. But one thing I do. Let me get the KJV, man. I love me some KJV. Okay, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forth unto those things which are before, I press toward the mark of the price, for the price of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. Paul says, I'm going forward. And that's the same thing I'm saying, man. And he's saying this spiritually, having been through the stuff he's been through, abused, misunderstood, beaten, persecuted, hated. He says, man, listen. And by the way, when he was saying this, he was in prison. He was in prison. And the man said, I'm going forward. I am forgetting about the past. Doesn't mean you can't learn from it, but you don't live in the past. I mean, telling black people to live in the past and think about how racist this country has been and keep replaying that message over and over and over again doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help black people nor white people, nor does it help the country as a whole. It's demonic, it's evil, it's wrong. Can we learn from the past? Yes. We have history books for that. We have the African American Museum for that. There are schools that can teach us about these things. Not critical race theory. No, that's a dark version of history. But it's okay to look at the past and learn from it. But we're supposed to learn from the past and move forward. These people want us to live in the mentality that America is out to kill, to hurt, to restrain black people. If you're a black man, you cannot be successful. If you're a black Republican, you cannot be successful. And the issue that I had with the comment as well was they make it seem like black people who are not in politics is the result of the system. Maybe some black people, maybe more black people don't want to be in politics. I won't be honest. I don't want to be in politics. That's not a good thing for me. Like they go deep into your life. I don't like that. Everything, you're exposed to everything. I don't like that. So more black people, I would say very few black people wants to be in politics. I think that's part of the reason why. Some of us want to play football, basketball. Some of us want to rap. Some of us want to be a preacher. It's just not every black person is into that stuff. And that doesn't mean the system is wrong. They just have a different way of looking at life. They have different goals and values. They're aiming differently. Doesn't mean the system is holding them back. So these are things to think about, but that's the ladies on the view. But I still give them respect, at least for bringing Tim Scott to the channel and allowing him to have a platform to share his view, even though they had to stop him several times. Thank you for listening, though. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.